Hi everybody, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make a really pretty card using the Helping Me Grow stamp set. This is in the annual catalog currently, and it will carry over to the new catalog that starts in June. So let's get started. What we're going to be using today are 3 pieces of cardstock. We're going to use Smoky Slate, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. We're going to use Calypso Coral, 4 by 5 1/4, and we're going to use Whisper White, 3 3/4. Actually, this is the Shimmer White cardstock. 3 3/4 by 5. Yes, that is it. So what we're going to do is, this is a photopolymer set. So we're going to get our Stampin Pierce Mat out so we can get this nice and evenly inked up. And what I'm going to do is, I thought of using the corner piece and the dots to almost make a picture frame, but I'm going to make it, I think, only on 3 sides. So what I want to do first is, I'm going to stamp the flowers. That way I can figure out exactly where I want to put my little dots. So I'm going to put just a piece of paper underneath of here. And I think I'm going to stamp this in Smoky Slate. That way it's dark, but it's still not so dark that it takes away from the card. So Smoky Slate, we're going to ink this up, and then we'll color in the card. And this Shimmer White cardstock, if you haven't used it, really is pretty for giving a different look to your image. So we're going to get that about centered. And with the photopolymer, you have to push and you have to let it sit for a minute just so the ink transfers from the stamp to the cardstock. Very nice. So that'll be pretty because you'll still be able to see the outline, but it really won't overpower the card. So now what we're going to do is we will take, we'll do mint macaron. That'll be pretty. We'll make the little picture frame in mint macaron. So what I'm going to do first is, it's a little corner piece and then a little dot piece. So I'm going to do the corner first. And what I'm going to do is, I'll do 4 corners, but I'm only going to do the dots here and on the long sides. I'm not going to do anything on the bottom. So 1. Apologize if my head is in the picture. 2. 3. A little crooked, but still okay. 4. Okay, I actually haven't done this before, so hoping it works. Okay, and then we're gonna ink up our dots. Let's see, do they match? Sure, we might actually have to go down a little bit so these are kind of underneath, because I think they're too close. Yeah, that's really pretty. Okay, and then for this one I'm gonna kind of just center it about, excuse my head, halfway in between the two instead of making a really long one. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing on this side. I do apologize if my head is in here. It's kind of hard to line things up straight when you can't really see. That looks really cute. That looks much cuter than I anticipated it looking. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is, I'm going to take just this little, it says 25 cents. And I'm going to stamp this down at the bottom. That'd be really cute too. Kind of looks like a little piece of postage. It would be really cute too if you did that on a 1-inch circle punch and popped it out, because it would almost look like a little coin. So what we'll do is, actually we'll stay with the mint macaron, and we'll do the stems in mint macaron, and then we're going to do the flower in the Calypso Coral. So what I'm doing is, I'm just squeezing my ink pad. You open it up and you squeeze it, and it creates a little pool of ink for you to work with. And then we're going to get out our, I'm not going to use the aqua painter, I'm going to just use the blender pen. So make sure it's nice and clean. We'll just pick up a little bit of the mint macaron and color this in. You know, one thing that's kind of sad about, I don't want to say sad about stamping, but sad about stamping on a video, is you really never can fully appreciate the beauty of these cards as they are in person, because this Shimmer White cardstock is so pretty. But if you're not here looking at it, even if you look at it straight on versus when I'm right now, I'm sitting down in front of it and coloring it, it is so much prettier when you're down on it and you can see the different level of shimmer. It's really pretty. So now we're going to clean off our blender pen just so it goes clear. And now I will pick up some of this Calypso Coral. I'm just going to fill in the flowers. Doesn't really have to be specific because you can blend it out on here, and again, these are flowers, so they're going to be different looking no matter how you color them. The only thing I will say is when you do color these in, give a little bit more in the center here, and then you can always fan out, because it does tend to be that flowers do have that really rich center color, and then they kind of tend to fade a little bit. But that's also the good thing about the blender pen, because you can kind of blend it out if you don't really like how you've done it. And also just towards the tips, you can let it be a little bit more of a washed out color. It's pretty. Alright, so we'll just finish these really quickly. And the only other thing we're really going to do is just mount these. You could use this as a beautiful Mother's Day card as well, if you haven't thought of a Mother's Day card idea. I do have to get onto my Mother's Day cards. I make them for all of my friends of my mom friends. I have a little group of people that I send holiday cards to. All my little friends. They're all, well, I guess probably all 10 and under. And I send them all cards. So I send all their mommies cards for Mother's Day. It's, you know, if you're a mom, you know how it is. A lot of times you don't get appreciated. So I try to make sure, since I do make these cards and I really enjoy making them, that I send them out to all of my friends, just so they get a little bit of nice mail instead of just their kids always getting the nice cards that I send out. That's the great part about stamping, because you can make so many different cards, so many different themes. It's really, makes it really fun just to be able to, for a little person to get a piece of mail, because, you know, we don't really get very much nice mail anymore. So I've been sending mail for some time now, just to make them have something cool to go to the mailbox for. So that finishes up our card. The only thing I think I might do is I'm going to take, get a sponge that's clean here. I'm going to take a sponge and I'm going to just go around the edges just lightly. Oops. Just lightly. Just to give it a nice edging. I think of all techniques, no matter what you can do with a card, sometimes gives so much depth just by sponging. Just a little bit of something. And then what I'm going to do while I have this out is I'm going to go ahead and sponge the edge of the Calypso Coral. And since I'm being lazy, what I did was I used one side to use the Calypso Coral with the sponge. And then I used the other side to use the mint macaron. Okay. Or you could also use the sponge daubers. They're really great. Fit on your finger and you can go right along the edges as well. And I just want to make sure before I finish up that I don't want anything else on here. So I think that's going to be it. We'll just make it a very simple card. I actually was even going to put on a greeting, but I don't think I'm going to, because this looks really pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this up onto dimensionals. And then we're just going to put this onto the Calypso Coral piece and adhere it to the Smoky Slate piece. And this, like I said, you could use this as a birthday card, get well soon, thank you, if you need to send out a thank you to someone, Mother's Day. Again, this would be beautiful Mother's Day card. I knew your mother would appreciate this. Alright, we're going to just put that right on there. And then the only other thing we're going to do is we're going to take our card stock. I already scored this. So again, this was 4 1/4 by 11. Scored at 5 1/2. And just take our bone folder, give it a nice crease. And where is my Snail Adhesive? And we'll just stick that right on there, and then I'll just put a panel of Whisper White on the inside, just to give you something to write on. And the other thing you could do with your Whisper White is I was going to put a greeting on this, but I decided against it. I figured I'd do it maybe after the fact. So what I'll do is I'll put my greeting. Oh, let me get my pad. Put my greeting on here. And I'll outline it. This should fit with the Calypso Coral. I think this should fit. Yep. And then we can just, and no, they do have a framelit set for this. I just got the stamp set. I really didn't even realize it till I'd seen someone else use it, how pretty it was. So they do have a framelit set for this, or you can either fussy cut it out, or you can just trim it down a little bit. And so you could use this. Just do a little bit of trimming. This really isn't even that fussy to fussy cut, honestly. But the framelit would make this immensely more pleasurable for you than having to watch me cut this out. Almost there. And then what you could do is you could put your thank you right on the inside of the card. It's funny because when I do these videos, I always think ahead of time of everything I might need to have it ready. And ultimately, I always take a detour. So you could just pop that right inside there at the bottom. You could put your panel and then put it there and pop it up on a dimensional as well. So if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email, rachthestamper@gmail.com. You could also leave me a comment on my blog at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. Any of these supplies and more you can reach in my online store, which is Rachthestamper. That's StampinUp.net. Oh my gosh, tongue twister tonight. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this gave you a good idea for beautiful Mother's Day, sympathy, thank you, birthday, really any kind of card for this. And you could always switch out the ink colors too. This would be really pretty in Wisteria Wonder or Soft Sky. So I hope I've given you guys a couple of great ideas tonight, and I hope you have a really good night.